Too much dying, too much crying, too much. See the divine, not enough. Saying you fine, too much. Not what's on mine, too much. Get on your grind, not enough. Cause it take time, precision.
Alright, what is going on, y'all? So, since it seemed like y'all like the Misery Machine, we're gonna do another one. Also, I'm not gonna lie, the titles are getting to me. So this one is Mariah Thomas, mother confuses her baby's crib for a 400-degree oven. So we all talked about the stupidity in the last one. For everybody who wound up commenting, I appreciate y'all. I'm glad that y'all are so engaged. I'm glad that we are uncovering the stupidity of people together. So we just gonna go ahead. This is a bad picture. They caught her at a bad time. I'm not gonna hold you. I don't know what's going on with her mouth. I'm mind my business. We gonna get started. Let's go.
Kansas City, Missouri. She lived with her parents, Angela and Kenneth Thomas, in the Manheim Park neighborhood. Soon, they were joined by a baby girl. Their community was regarded as safe, quiet, and a good environment for families with young children. Mariah gave birth to Zariah Mae Thomas on December 14th, 2023. She was precious, tiny, and surrounded by love. She was described as bubbly and was smiling all the time. Her mother and grandparents often sang to her as they held her in their arms. She was first going to be named Zalani, but Mariah changed it sometime between mid-September and early October of 2023.
A person claiming to be Mariah's friend said that Mariah had issues with mental health since she was very little, though it's not reported exactly what these issues were. She was told by her doctors to stop taking her meds while pregnant due to risks to her baby's health, and to our knowledge, she never took her medication ever again.
Okay, so before we get started, because I told y'all I'd be talking a lot less, how do y'all feel about what y'all just heard? Because I know in the last one, they started talking about how she had mental issues later on. This person had been diagnosed with mental issues as a young child, and they told her that because she was pregnant, she shouldn't be taking her medicine. How do y'all feel about that one? I'm asking because with me, that kind of situation would be a double-edged sword. I do have, and I've known a lot of women that I've been around with issues or being diagnosed, because some people could just be faking the funk for whatever reason. But I do know people who have been diagnosed. I have been around those people. I believe that they deserve to have children just like everybody else, but there are extreme risks that come with that, especially if, like, you know, these are things that, like, let's say it's something that's hereditary. You know what I'm saying? You can't, I'd say, like, when it comes to, like, I don't dive too far in it, not how I used to when I was younger, but, like, let's say, like, if you got manic episodes type of thing, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that you was dealing with from you being a child, but it's also hereditary. It's been passed down. How do y'all feel about that? Because, you know, even like being of some consciousness, you understand, like, I do risk bringing that to my kid. My personal opinion, I've always wanted children, but I don't know, that one kind of iffy for me, because for me personally, it leans towards borderline selfishness for myself towards my child or my future offspring. I don't know about that. I don't know how I would. I guess it would just have to be one of those outcomes where I would just have to be in a situation. I don't know how I will operate, but I want to know y'all's opinion.
Mariah hadn't been sleeping well since giving birth. It's understandable, as parents of newborns are beholden to the newborn schedule, but the combination of sleep deprivation and lack of meds was troubling for her. The friend was concerned for Mariah's well-being, but didn't push the issue any further. In another report, Mariah was said to have the thought process akin to that of a child. Thus far, no one has said that Mariah had any sort of developmental delay, so we can only assume that they meant general immaturity. Mariah spent a lot of her time on Facebook. She made posts about motherhood, pregnancy, friends, family, relationships, and being single. Mariah's Facebook page was erratic and unpredictable, putting her immaturity on full display. It seemed like every relationship she had unpredictable.
Zariah, MMY, Zariah Mommy. Leave me alone, mommy of a princess. 26, lives in Kansas, followed by 1,004. Twin, where have you been? Nobody knows me like you do. Erratic? I don't see nothing crazy. Like, not to use it in that terminology, but I don't see nothing like out of pocket. It just seemed like to me, I ain't been on Facebook in a minute, but like this seemed like a regular Facebook to me. Little nugget right here, lady up here. Leave me alone, mommy. The leave me alone part is like, I'm a believer that words have power, so I don't just be talking like super reckless. You can't be extremely out of pocket. So like the leave me alone part would indicate that there's some sense of hostility or like some sort of like erratic, I guess like erratic behavior, like there's potential for it, but it ain't like, oh my God, stay away from this person type of thing. I don't know.
Putting her immaturity on full display. Seemed like every relationship she had was turbulent to some degree, both romantic and platonic. She often posted about,
I left y'all in 2023. I'm not effing playing about my piece this year. Yeah, I see that one. I can't really not. I see people posting shit like this all the time. Like that's been a thing. I can't knock this one.
Cutting those she perceived to have wronged her out of her life completely in very cathartic manners. News outlets have yet to share any information on Zariah's father, and he hasn't spoken to the press. From what we can piece together from Mariah's Facebook page, she was not on good terms with him whatsoever. They may have still been together during the early stages of her pregnancy, but it didn't last long. Additionally, she may have been harassed by her ex's new partner. Some earlier posts on her Facebook page suggest she had another child, though we don't know much about them. She hasn't referenced this child by name or posted any photos, so she was likely not this child's primary caregiver. Her posts indicated that this child and Zariah were full-blooded siblings, however.
On March 13th, 2023, Mariah posted about missing her.
I might be pregnant again. I haven't seen my cycle. I'm scared. Girl, every other week you pregnant or you might be pregnant. Shut the fuck up until I see ultrasound. Y'all be wanting to be pregnant so bad. It could just be me because I try not to be hostile towards anybody, but I feel like you ain't like, it's one of them situations like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say nothing. I don't know too much about women's anatomy, but like I said, I've been around people, like I've been around women, and things like this do happen. You know what I'm saying? You got birth control be throwing shit off. Babies are a blessing in any sense, whatever deity you believe in. So at the end of the day, for a woman to get through a pregnancy, like that's quite an experience because there's a plethora of things that could go wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's not nothing easy that you can do, is to bring another life in. You got to carry on the baby's weight. The baby got to develop inside the body. You got to feed yourself while feeding the baby, the whole eating for two thing. Like there's so much to attach to it. I feel like something like a comment like this is just unnecessary. So if you already knew this, if you knew her, like if this person knew her, then I feel like this is one of those things where like you just egging her on to see her, you know, and she's not on her medicine. So like, you know, we don't know if this at this point, but like we knew that there was a point where she wasn't going to be on her medicine, so there could be erratic behavior just behind shit like this, like
her period.
Like this,
on April 11th, she announced that she was pregnant. She tracked her pregnancy progress on her Facebook profile. She jumped between excitement for being a mother and expressing frustration about being pregnant. But the vague posts about people in her life were just as frequent. As Zariah's due date drew closer, Mariah posted more and more about leaving the fake people in her life behind once her daughter was born. It was more of the same after her labor, but in addition, Mariah seemed to think that the only reason people reached out to her was because they wanted to see her daughter.
Hey, real quick, I gotta talk about this because I just recently got another case for my phone. Bro, this is a pretty good condition for a phone with an iPhone with no case, bro. I be dropping my junk and like I keep my phones for a couple years because don't nothing ever be wrong with them. Like I have no reason to switch it. I have no reason to change it. Y'all think what y'all want. I'm not like the oldest youngin' in the book You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I have value for what the fuck I got. Like, I'm not about to keep spending. Who got time for that shit? This is good ass condition for a phone. Not only that, that's a good color blue.
There's no gentle way of saying this.
No,
Mariah clearly felt lonely, used, and like an afterthought. Maybe some part of her believed having and raising a child would alleviate those negative feelings. If her Facebook is a small glimpse into her life, being a mother and caregiver to a newborn gave her some sense of purpose. But motherhood alone wasn't enough to completely alleviate Mariah's sense of loneliness. She often posted that she felt people only wanted to associate with her to get to her daughter. It seemed she wanted to be a good mother, but she couldn't chase away the ever-present feelings of loneliness. 2 posts made a day apart depicted this dichotomy. The first read, "Yeah, motherfuckers..."
Oh, the way she said it. Yeah, motherfuckers claim they my friend, but don't ever check up on me or Zariah from now on. We fuck with whoever fuck with us. Gee, a lot of capitalization. We fuck with whoever fuck with us or love us. I'm so tired of motherfuckers claiming my daughter and y'all pretending. Like, just stop.
Claim they my friend, but don't never check up on me or Zariah. Tired of motherfuckers.
It's not working.
Read.
Please
my
stop.
goal this
My goal for she need. I'm sorry, y'all. She can't read that the way she was reading the story. My goal this year for 2024 is to be the best mother I can to my beautiful daughter and to stay out of drama and to get a place for me and my daughter and for only me and my daughter. I mean, that would be the assumption for you and only your daughter. Okay. So it sounds like yesterday she was beefing, she was mad, and then the next day she was focused back. I mean, I do this all. I don't do it with posts because I feel like you put something like that online, that's an imprint. It's gonna stick with you. But like, people have this mindset all the time. You could say something to somebody or have a conversation and then realize you made a particular mistake in that conversation, or your thought process was just incorrect. Because some of us be believing we know all, be all, and then in reality you got to take a second step back and go into introspect. You got to understand yourself and what it is that you saying and whether or not you said the right thing for this time period. A lot of people believe that I don't remember the saying, but it's pretty much like I don't take anything back. I can't remember how to say it, how it's worded, but like they don't believe that they need to take any of their words back. Not if you acting erratically and like going out of pocket all the time. You can't be like that.
This year for 2024 is to be the best mother I can be to my beautiful daughter and to stay out of drama and to get a place for me and my daughter and for only me and my daughter. After being off her medication for 9 months, then not going back on it after giving birth, Mariah was far from well. She clearly needed some kind of help, some sense of community, but there was no indication that she was a danger to her daughter. No one could have predicted what Mariah would do to the daughter she said she loved.
But unfortunately, Zariah would die 1 month after she was born. Probable cause statement chronicled the events of that day. Some important parts were redacted, including names. In light of this, we'll have to connect the dots with other publicly available information to piece together what happened. On February 9th, 2024, Kenneth and Angela were getting ready to leave for the day. Angela worked at a daycare and Kenneth was looking for employment in downtown Kansas City. Mariah and Zariah were said to have been in good spirits. Mariah had spoken to a friend over the phone the night before and seemed normal. By the time Kenneth and Angela left, Mariah and Zariah had fallen back to sleep. Between 12:50 and 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Mariah called her mother. She was hysterical and told Angela she had put Zariah in the oven instead of her crib. Angela told Mariah she needed to dial 911, but Mariah continued to yell hysterically. Angela then called her husband, telling him there was something wrong with their granddaughter. We don't know how forthcoming she was with the details in the moment, but Angela caught the earliest bus home that she could. Kenneth beat her there, and when he entered the house, he was met with the strong odor of smoke.
No.
Zariah was in her crib, completely unresponsive.
Jesus.
Kenneth held his granddaughter in his arms and asked Mariah what happened. Mariah responded, "I thought I put Zariah in her crib, and I accidentally put her in the oven."
Yo.
It's not reported if the oven was turned on before or after Zariah was inside, but Kenneth promptly called emergency services.
Oh shit, I got questions. Okay. First one, the grandparents knew that she was on medication. She wasn't on medication for the 9 months, and I'm guessing during the period of breastfeeding, she wasn't, she was just, they said she was 1 month old, so of course she didn't just return back to him, because I'm guessing she was breastfeeding during the time frame of the baby being of this earth. Why leave her? I understand that he was looking for employment, and I understand that she already worked. The grandmom already worked, but there was no one that could have been looking after her while she looking after her child. And yes, I say it like that because of the aspect of medication. First of all, nobody knows if that medication was helping or hurting her. Okay, 9 months on it would tell you a lot of information. You start seeing different behaviors. You start to understand that person a little bit differently, or you just see a overall flip. Like a flip, and then it is like a flip of the switch, and then it's constant. It constantly stays like that. I don't think a 1 month old and a person who needs to be or who has been diagnosed and prescribed medication based off of a condition would be able to, not competently, but of complete sound mind, take care of a 1 month old, her daughter or not. The second thing, which was kind of the scary part, is meeting the granddad coming home and then being met with the smell, or being met with the heat or the smell. She was unresponsive and in the crib, but the mother saw that she put her in the oven. So I'm guessing she either put her in the oven and either preheated, or put her in the oven and the oven was heated, and then next thing you know, she takes her out, screaming hysterically, puts the baby in the crib, I'm guessing to alleviate or just generally take her out of the oven and, put her still. I'm not gonna lie, because there's psychedelics, there's medication, there's different things that you could take. People drink. I've never thought of anybody drinking and doing something like that, but like it either had to be some strong medication, or her mental state had to be very disturbed to mistake. Everything about it, like the kitchen, definitely like the oven and where the oven would be positioned in the kitchen, because ovens sit lower. You definitely have to normally hunch over. I'm 6'3", I gotta crouch over to get into the oven, or to put something in the oven, take something out the oven, versus a crib where the crib has to be a little bit extended, a little bit higher. I'm trying to give leeway based off the situation and the fact that you can't put too much logic in a situation of this magnitude because of the fact medication was involved. So you can't like, you gotta have an open space. You know what I'm saying? Not like an open mind. Like you have to have an open mind for possible situations, because you don't know what the medicine was doing to her, positive or negative. But I've done psychedelics in the past, and like I've looked at something and seen something that wasn't there, or it was manifested as something else. Just depends on how your mind perceives it. If that's constantly the type of life that she lives based off the fact she doesn't have medication, kind of makes sense. It's still that's some difficult shit to hear. Like the grandparents coming home like that, her like kind of snapping out of it, and then seeing the baby in the oven. Like I couldn't even imagine, bro.
The Kansas City police and firefighters were dispatched to the home and arrived at 1:24 p.m. Zariah was moved to her car seat, which was placed in the living room. It was thought that Mariah and Kenneth may have been gearing up to rush her to the emergency room. Kenneth passed Zariah to the firefighters, hoping his granddaughter could be saved. Instead, the fire department pronounced the infant dead at the scene. She was covered in burns. The heat made her onesie melt into her diaper.
Jesus.
A baby blanket with burn marks was also found in the living room. Naturally, the screaming, the ambulance, and the police cars drew the neighbors' attention. They were reassured that they weren't in any danger, but they were kept in the dark until a few hours later. When the initial news broke of an unnamed child's death in their community, they were shaken. They never expected to bear witness to something as tragic as the death of a child. 2 residents of the neighborhood gave short statements to the press when approached. One said, Within a matter of minutes, I heard sirens. The next thing I know, there's a baby carrier being transported between the medic and the house. And I'm pretty shocked by it and appalled that there's a death in our neighborhood. It's sad, especially when it's a child. No child should be leaving here.
Yeah.
Initially, police began an investigation for a suspicious death rather than a homicide. Mariah was, of course, brought in for questioning by the Kansas City police. There, she chose to invoke her Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, but she agreed to let investigators go through her phone and take a blood sample. The public was directed toward a tip hotline just in case anyone could provide more information to law enforcement. After the crime scene was processed, investigators summarized their findings. The victim was located in the living room, lying in a car seat just inside of the front door. The victim had sustained apparent thermal injuries on various parts of her body. She was clothed in a bodysuit over a diaper. Clothing appeared to have melted onto the diaper, and it was very dirty, possibly burned on the backside. A baby blanket with significant burn marks was located in the living room and was collected. A pack and play containing baby blankets was found in the living room next to a couch as well. Mariah was arrested the next day for Zariah's death and had a bond hearing 10 days later. Her bond was set at $200,000. Prosecuting attorney Jean Peters Baker said in a statement to the press, "We appreciate all first responders who worked the scene and the prosecutors who went to the scene in order to issue these charges. We acknowledge the gruesome nature of this tragedy and our heart."
I was just about to say, bro, damn, that's a hard thing to think about. Like, I'm thinking about everybody's possible perspective in the matter. Like, the granddad, the mom, the EMTs, the firefighters, the prosecutors, the people arresting. I can't even, I'm trying to think of so many people's death. Like, I'm thinking about, the fact, if I was a firefighter, for example, you know what I'm saying? You coming in the junk, you smelling smoke, or somebody calls in and talks about smoke, or the family calls in, and then you get there and you walk through the door and that's what you see. You know what I'm saying? Just those people's lives who will be impacted on something that's so dark. Like, that's so dark, yo. Nah, bro. Can't feel that one. I ain't feeling this one.
Hearts are weighted by the loss of this precious life. We trust the criminal justice system to respond appropriately to these awful circumstances. Prosecutor Baker claimed Mariah knowingly acted in a manner that created a substantial risk to Zariah's life. Doubting what Mariah did was purely accidental.
Zariah's funeral was held on March 14th, 2024. The service was held at Beacon Light Seventh-day Adventist Church, officiated by Pastor Greg Fontes. The poem, A Fallen Limb, by author unknown, was written into the service program and read aloud following 2 minutes of silence. It read, "A limb has fallen from the family tree. I hear a voice that whispers, 'Grieve not for me.' Remember the best times, the laughter, the songs, the good I lived while I was strong. Continue my heritage, I'm counting on you. Keep on smiling, the sun will shine through. My mind is at ease, my soul is at rest, remembering all, how I was truly blessed. Continue traditions, no matter how small. Go on with your lives, don't stare at the wall. I miss you all dearly, so keep up your chin. Until that fine day, we're together again." Her obituary was recorded on the website for Golden Gate Funeral and Cremation Services. A SoundCloud link is embedded into the webpage. After the page loads, along with Zariah's precious little face, you are greeted with a soft, gentle piano cover of "You Are My Sunshine." Mariah never made bond, so she could not go to Zariah's funeral. It's not been reported whether she wanted to or not, though. It may have been the best that she didn't go. A mother accused of cooking her newborn alive and then going to that newborn's funeral is a bad look at best and a recipe for disaster at worst.
In December of 2024, a grand jury added a charge of first-degree involuntary manslaughter in addition to the charges of first-degree child endangerment and death of a child. Mariah also had a second bond hearing in February. Mariah's bond attorney, Jennifer L. Robinson, asked for her client's $200,000 bond to be lowered. She argued that Mariah didn't have a criminal history, so there was no reason for the bond to be so high. Prosecutors argued that they believe Mariah...
See, this is where the gray areas come in at. She asked for the bond to be lowered, and because this is her first offense, the bond shouldn't be that high. Man, this is when the gray areas start to activate, because disregarding the mother, I'm talking about the lawyer, the defense. She still put a baby in the oven, bro. Like, ultimately, it's one of those things where it does have gray area. Like, it does. It's a double-edged sword for sure. The mother had to stop taking the medication. We don't know what the medication could have done. However, what ultimately led from point to point is unprotected doings with another person, being pregnant, and then having to stop the medication that was helping to do whatever it was doing, leading up to the birth of the child, the little one, and then a month of her life is what she got to experience, and then her putting the baby in the oven. It's, again, just like the joint we just did, y'all. It ultimately comes down to the child's endangerment. What happens to the child? It does not matter if it's her first offense. It still happened, and it led to an unaliving of a person. That's it. That's what it led. So many people focus on so many things versus the solution, like the main issue, the main focus of whatever it is that we discussing at that time. All of the other stuff are things that need to be discussed in court. Yes, correct. But ultimately, what led to the decision is the fact that there was a little one, and the little one was put in the oven. The little one is no longer here. And the little one didn't put themselves in the oven. That's what it comes down to. It's simple. It's point blank period. Simple, stupid. It's simple.
I had to be a flight risk, and they felt she was a dangerous individual. Ultimately, Judge R. Travis Willingham lowered the bond to $100,000 after her February bond hearing. Her bond conditions included house arrest, close supervision via an ankle monitor, and a mental health evaluation. From professional publications to social media posts, comment sections about this case were quite divided. She even caught the attention of...
Why are we having a mental health evaluation on a person that was previously taking medicine for a condition? A mental condition. What is there to evaluate? It's not like, okay, so she stopped taking the medicine, and then it's not like she stopped taking the medicine and then everything got better. We don't know what help she needed, but ultimately she was originally taking something that was supposed to be helping, and then that taking something was chosen for her because of her condition. So the mental health I hate when people add stupid shit to it. Like, house arrest makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, put her in a confined space where she does not have the opportunity to endanger anyone else, right? Because we don't know what could happen in terms of flipping the switch, like I was saying earlier, to her mind the next time. We don't know if it's a person on the street, if it's somebody else's baby. Like, we don't know. So because we don't know, we might want to go ahead and confine her, keep her still for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Or at least warrant the amount of time that she has outside to go and do other things, because those other moments of her being outside, interacting with different air, different smells, different hearing, it could start something. You know what I'm saying? She could have an episode of whatever. You just gotta think of it like that. But the mental health evaluation, I don't really understand. That should have been something that they was previously doing while she was in jail, while the bond was being set. It was set, and then it was chosen to be lower. You could have did evaluations all throughout that time and then decided what was best prescribed for her for a future reference. Because at this point, she does not need to breastfeed, and now she can be on the necessary medication that she needs to be okay in whatever sense everybody takes it.
Nancy Grace, who dedicated an episode of her podcast Crime Stories with Nancy Grace discussing Mariah and Zariah Thomas. Understandably, she had a very strong emotional reaction when learning that baby Zariah was left to bake in a hot oven. She said, "I read the headline and I stopped right there because I don't want to think about a baby at 1 month opening the oven, putting your baby on the rack, closing the oven, and cranking it up to 400.
Yeah.
And I don't want to think about that baby in the oven as it gets hotter and hotter, and the baby is screaming as her clothes melt until she is burned dead.
Bro,
how long did...
You can't say shit like that and then go into full-fledged detail about what everybody else is thinking. Like, we all have that type of shit. When you see shit like this, you have that type of shit on your mind. Because your mind's going to associate to the most, like, not the worst possibility, but the first thing you can imagine. Like, what you can bring forth into existence based off your thought process. Why the fuck would you say, oh, well, I read the headline and stopped there because I don't want to think about everything that everybody else thinks about? Like, come on, dog.
Did it take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an
blow
hour
me.
in an oven? I can't even stand a small space. The baby in the oven screams
Alright, bro.
journalism,
Okay.
crime scene
Jesus
investigation,
Christ.
forensics, child mistreatment, and psychiatry. Paula Rode, a former CPS investigator, said that Mariah's Facebook post expressing how she was tired of being pregnant should have alerted authorities that she was a risk to her child. Another expert named Dr.
Bro, it should have alerted her family. They should have been on her ass, bro. Like, bro, she was pregnant without it's the stupidity, bro. It's when shit started to get stupid, bro. Y'all knew she was pregnant. It was all plastered all over her Facebook for months. The pregnancy test, whatever else led up to it, her physical shape. Y'all had all the time to prepare for this woman, bro. We could have did something at least to secure shit like the oven, electrical wires, refrigerators. We could have managed something. God damn it, sharp objects. It's a whole lot of things that could have been done. And I mean, ultimately, yeah, you're going to child-proof the house, but you also need to proof the house for the person that is not of complete cognitive sense all the time, and this person is carrying a little one, and that little one is going to have to be taken care of by this person. We should have been all around her. This is what people be talking about when you say it takes a village. I tell my friends that all the time. I don't always get to see all of their little ones all the time, but I still tell them it takes a village, because at the end of the day, if I'm not directly helping you with your child, I'm at least coming to check on your mind state. I'm talking to you on the phone, FaceTime, and make sure I can see you face to face, eyeball to eyeball, or something. Like, I need to know something that you straight. I care about all my niggas. They'll tell you. I get annoying as fuck because I be on your shit, because I need to make sure you straight, the baby straight, your girl straight, everybody, the whole household, because all of y'all are interconnected at some point, and that all interconnection leads to me. I'm a point of contact. I'm emergency contact. I will be whatever you need whenever I got it. That's the rule. This family should have been thinking, like, I understand the situation. The grandmom was already working. The granddad was looking for work. She was going through what she was going through, and then she's pregnant with a baby. Anybody could have slid over here, bro. A cousin, a niece, something, like somebody. God damn. I hate when shit that don't make sense. They could have been did all this to protect her and the baby.
Carl E. Williams. Mariah was deeply disturbed and really didn't know what she did when she did it. He had met many pregnant women who were very tired of being pregnant, and from a medical perspective saw it as exhaustion from an exhausting process and not an ultimate sign of potential child maltreatment. The general public sees Mariah Thomas as either evil incarnate or an individual with an untreated mental illness. Those on the side of the former don't believe Mariah for a second when she said it was an accident.
We are all ultimately on the same path.
See, that's where my mindset at too. Like, it wasn't an accident or wasn't an accident. I'm telling y'all what I'm telling y'all based off what I'm hearing. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck who you are. None of us knows what was happening in that household. None of us knows if she was telling the truth. None of us knows if we're right or wrong or whatever the case may be. We all have to go off of assumption and the information that we heard. Based off the information that I heard, when I hear things like people taking pills, I know what pills do, especially when they're man-made. I know what a man-made pill can do to the body, what it do. If you can imagine, I don't know if y'all have ever seen the videos where like they show what happens to a pill in the stomach when it's digested by stomach acid or something like that. If you can, like, pretty much what happens is they don't fully digest. They kind of just sit there and like not break down, but they change form from pill shape. Like the little pilly shape. I'm just using the basic pill shape. if you can imagine what that does to your insides, you know, over time, people be saying they took this antibiotic and then they got cancer. This person took this medicine and they got lung failure or whatever the case may be. Like, I still do it now. If I take something and I know that, like, that shit probably not really for me, but like I need something to give me a little, you know, pick me up, like a fever reducer, a Tylenol, ibuprofen, whatever the case may be. And I know in myself that I take it and I'm like, it's like day 2. I'm not feeling so high. I'm feeling worse than I did when, you know what I'm saying, before I took it. If you can imagine what that does to the physical body, you can only imagine what it does to the mental state, bruh. And all I'm saying is that we don't know shit at the end of the day. We looking at this and we hear a story. We don't know what the fuck happened. But at the end of the day, if I gotta put blame somewhere, if I gotta put it on somebody, bro, y'all knew the girl was pregnant. Y'all knew the girl had mental issues. Y'all knew the baby was coming, bro. We had more than enough time to prep, nigga. Like, we been had time to get it together. And nobody decided to do so until it was too late.
When we witness something horrifying, either ourselves or through third-party reports, we try to rationalize it. We try to answer the questions of how or why. These heavy topics don't usually have simple, easy answers.
Correct.
Now, some people have speculated postpartum psychosis. It is a condition that can cause paranoia, hallucinations, and delusions in mothers following the birth of their newborns. These behaviors can have serious consequences and may cause a mother to become a danger to herself or her child in extreme cases. We've covered many postpartum psychosis cases in the past, the 2 most notable being Texas mother Audie Sanchez, who decapitated her infant son Scotty, and Massachusetts mother and nurse Lindsay Clancy, who killed her 3 children before jumping out of her bedroom window.
What the fuck?
If you've not seen our coverage of these cases, we'll be sure to link them for you in the pinned comment and the description.
Man.
If this is the true cause of Zariah's death, it complicates everything. It's important to remember that while explanations do not equal excuses, these underlying causes are still important to know so we can understand what happened, especially if the goal is to prevent something like this from ever happening to a child again.
Right.
Only one U.S. state acknowledges postpartum psychosis as something to take into account during a defendant's sentencing. It was implemented in Illinois in 2018, though it isn't the first of its kind. Various countries have some form of sentence mitigation if the accused is determined to be afflicted with a postpartum mental disorder. But this legislation is still fairly new and developing in the United States. However, this might all be irrelevant. As of March 19, 2024, legal documents filed by Mariah's attorney indicate that she does not intend to rely on the defense of mental disease or
Now, why the fuck would you do that? Why the fuck? You know what this just did, y'all? This just took everything that I said, anything that I said about mental, anything, and threw that shit out the window, bro. The legal team said that she does not intend to rely on the defense of mental disease or defect at this time. Which means either she has a guilty conscience and lied, the fucking defense realized something about her, probably peeped something, paid attention to something, or whatever the case may be. I mean, ultimately, their goal is to win. So, you know, vampiric practices in law is not, you know, that's not nothing new. Or, no, there isn't a second one. She either got, it was either her in guilt, or it was them. And they was just like, nah, we not going to do that. We not going to use that. So, my guess is she's going to stay in jail. Because if you're not going to rely on the mental illness defense, she going to stay in jail. There is no, bruh, if I press play and they didn't rely on mental illness and she winds up walking or some bullshit like the last one with the, what she get, 40 years? And they was like, oh, she's going to be 70 by the time she get out. And right after that, I was like, nah, it's not enough. If something like that happens, bro, pocket. Out of fucking pocket,
there
bro.
are yet to be documents filed and published that walk this back.
Mariah faces a Class A felony for the death of a child, as well as endangering the welfare of a child, and a Class C felony for involuntary manslaughter. She'll be represented by Assistant Public Defender Jennifer L. Robinson. It will be a jury trial overseen by 16th Circuit Court Judge Joel P. Feinstock. A similar case of a mother putting her children in an oven came to a close in November of 2024. Maura Williams, a mother living in Atlanta, Georgia, called emergency services claiming she came home and found her 1- and 2-year-old boys unresponsive on the floor. They were burned, and she claimed that one of the boys had the entire stove on top of him.
What? What? How do you even get to that point? Bro, she just said she came home and the kids was just... Wait.
And found her 1- and 2-year-old boys unresponsive on the floor. They were burned, and she claimed that one of the boys had the entire stove on top of him. If you've been following our channel, we covered Lamora's case, among others, a few years back. We'll also link that for you down below. After a post-mortem examination, it became clear to investigators that Lamora's version of events weren't adding up. Laura Williams was found guilty of murdering her boys by cooking them alive in an oven.
How the fuck would it not have been? What sense would that have made? That shit wouldn't have made no sense, no way. How the fuck she come home and the babies, the little ass kids, is in the house and burned? That shit don't make sense. That don't even sound right, bro. In no sense. No sense, unless we doing something similar to the previous woman, the woman who was leaving the kids in the house for 4 days out of the week. Like, what the fuck?
And then proceeding to lie about it. She was given a life sentence plus 35 years as a result. Mariah is innocent.
That's what the fuck a sentence is supposed to look like, bro. Cause the last one from 3 days ago was Skylar. She fucking left her, and she was found under the dresser with the bite marks, and they gave her 40 years, which don't make no fucking sense. This woman put both of the kids in the oven, lied about it, and then the stove, I don't know how the stove was on top of the baby, but that's something for another day. I'm not about to debate that right now. All this shit that had happened to her, and she get life plus 35. That's, what is that? I forgot what it's called. Double homicide or double manslaughter or something like that. Got them both. Get both of the kids. And got life plus 35. The other one unalives her daughter. And then when she unalives her daughter, she got plus 40. And she was, 31, I think? Or like 37 or something like that?
A similar situation as Lamora Williams, albeit with fewer overall charges. Lamora was reported to have suffered from mental illness and was pushed over the edge when her boyfriend broke up with her. She pled not guilty and did not pursue an insanity plea. The difference between the two women is the fact that Lamora attempted to sway investigators away from her, while Mariah chose to remain silent when questioned. Prosecuting attorneys cannot discuss a defendant's choice to invoke their Fifth Amendment rights, so Mariah's choice to do so can't even be brought up by the state. If they do, it could be ruled a mistrial. Despite this, it seems the state of Missouri is confident in their case against Mariah Thomas and is prepared to present their case in court.
While Mariah's trial was initially set to start in January of 2025, records show it's been pushed to October 6th. A motion for continuance, a form requesting a trial be delayed, was filed in December of 2024, and both parties signed off an agreement. The motion said that Public Defender Robinson needed more time to prepare, but the specific details were redacted. The state of Missouri has published a list of witnesses they plan to call, including detectives, medical professionals, civilians, and some individuals whose identities have been redacted. They also have video, audio, and photo evidence from the Kansas City Police Department, which they intend to present during the trial. The most recent legal activity was a notice of disclosure filed by Prosecutor Erickson on January 8, 2025. The disclosure states that the prosecution gained access to 2 new pages of documents and that they have provided them to the defense. Since then, no information about Mariah's trial has been made available to the public.
Today, Zariah Thomas would be 1 year old. She would have celebrated her first Christmas and birthday. She'd be crawling and could possibly be walking and talking by this point. She might have a favorite color, toy, animal, favorite food, a favorite TV show, but we'll never know that now. Whether purposeful, accidental, or somewhere in between, Zariah's future was stolen from her. She'll never make lifelong friends, have her first day of school, graduate from college, pursue her dream job, meet her soulmate, or among many other things that we all take for granted. As of the date of this recording in February of 2025, Mariah has pled not guilty and is considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. If the court rules against her, she could face a minimum of 10 years in prison and a maximum of a life sentence.
Okay.
Between now and then, she may change her plea, accept a plea bar.
Bro, minimum of 10 years is crazy, bro. Minimum of 10 years is such a fucking... It's such a fucking cop-out for the actual child. Like, that's such a fucking... Like, to me, what that seems like is that it's almost like we cared up until the point we got to the point of the end, and we was just like, no, we not about to keep fighting for the sake of the kid. Like, even I know that there are plenty of places, plenty of jails, penitentiaries, etc., prisons, etc., that hold people who have mental illness. If she chooses to not do her insanity plea, or however you want to say it, if they're not gonna go through with that and she still gets jail time, bro, I've seen movies, I've heard stories, I've seen stuff like this, videos where they talk about what people do to other people in prison when they learn what they've done outside of prison, bro. Like, PDF files bagged in prison. You know what I'm saying? People who unalive little children, not like babies, but like the young teens, and like be doing all that stuff to kids and all that. Cause all those people they got families on the outside. They got nephews, nieces, sons, daughters. You know what I'm saying? They remember somebody from the outside, and then it just make them flip a switch. And then the next thing you know, they will go at the person because of the things that they remember from their life. You know, the happiness of children, or remembering how they cared for their son, or something like that. Bro, if the women in that prison, if she's in Gen Pop and she goes out to Gen Pop and they find out that she's that Mariah, bro, it's gonna be a bad day, bro. Whatever, it's gonna be a bad day. She not gonna make it to the next trial. She wouldn't even make it. And the next trial is in October, which means she's confined with these people for this long. They either going to take care of her slowly, or they going to get her out the way, bro. They can't, because stuff like that don't sit well with prison population, bro. My brother was in prison. My father too, and both of them, they don't do the whole bullying thing, but it's based on what you do. It's what you've done. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who's in there is in there for, most people are in there for a reason, but then you got a few people who are actually innocent until proven guilty. There's people like I know there was the guy, I don't remember his name. He was an older guy. They gave him like 50 years on like a bullshit marijuana charge, and then he came out of prison, and they was just like, all right, well, you know, it's legal now. You don't have no reason to be in here. We're going to let you slide. Or, you know, you're innocent and we knew it the whole time. We're going to let you slide. Shit like that. When it come to moments like that, bro, like, it's different. But when you've done something and you did some shit you knew you weren't supposed to be doing, and then you get bagged for it, and then you go in jail, and then you like begging for your life and like begging for, you know, forgiveness for what you've done and all that, bro, a lot of people do not fuck with that. They will not play around with you when it comes to shit like that. They know you wrong. They know what you was doing was wrong, bro. And at the end of the day, depending on how they feel, if they feel like you need to get on somewhere because you was doing shit you wasn't supposed to be doing, or, you know, you chose not to take the insanity plea and they figured that out, or they figured out that you was lying, you're done. You're done. That life sentence ain't about to mean shit, for real. I'm good off this one, bro. Same thing. I hope y'all enjoy it. These stories are starting to really catch me off guard, for real. I ain't the part that blew me was right around, like, I think it was like the 15-minute mark, where the woman who was reporting was like, I read the story. That part right there was probably I think that was a dumb part of I ain't like that. But y'all already know the drill. I say it every time. Like, comment, subscribe. Y'all let me know if y'all like these. This number 2. So if this one starts to go well and y'all actually enjoy it, then I'll cover more of the Mystery Machine ones. And we'll just see which ones y'all like, which ones y'all don't. Or y'all just pick other stories and tell me about the other stories, and then I'll just go from there. I'll watch them exact when y'all send them. I'll make the video. I'll send them out. I'll shout you out. All that jazz. So for everybody again who commented, I do appreciate it. That is probably the most comments I've had on a video. I think it was like 11 comments and one from this morning, I think, or like 11 or 10 comments. But everybody was able to articulate themselves. They came in strong. Everybody had their own opinion. Doesn't seem like people were going back and forth in a negative way with each other, which is all good. I appreciate y'all big time. I see y'all on the next one.
Too much dying, too much crying, too much. See the divine, not enough, not enough, not enough. Saying you fine, too much. Not what's on mine, too much. Get on your grind, not enough, not enough, not enough. Cause it takes time, precision.